So I've been playing Genshin for quite some time now, and while I think the game is in a pretty good spot, here are 10 things that I think Hoyoverse should add to the game to improve it. Most of these are quality of life changes, but some of these have to do with gameplay as well. Also, if you have any ideas, feel free to share. So starting off, the first thing I want to mention is something about artifacts. Let's use this amazing piece as an example. So when you upgrade artifacts, you only have 6 slots. So when you continuously click enhance, it could take a while to get to level 20. So yeah, I think Hoyoverse should add up to maybe 20 artifact slots, just a little bit more so that you don't have to continuously spam the enhance button. And also receive your defense percentage. Increasing the slots up to 20 would also make it consistent with weapons, as the amount of slots is 20 over here. The next thing they should add are artifact loadouts. I'm sure you've been in a situation where you want to use another character's artifacts, but there's really no easy way to switch to them quickly. You have to individually find each artifact and then switch to them. So yeah, having an artifact loadout would solve this problem, making it not only easy to swap artifacts, but also keep track of who was using what, and then you can just easily switch back and forth. Now the current system I think is fine, but having artifact loadouts would just make the game a lot easier, a lot more intuitive, so you can just share artifacts between your characters. Next, characters should be able to share weapons. This would solve 2 things. 1, you wouldn't have to worry about refining your weapons anymore, you can just straight up refine them like I did here. And 2, this would make it where if you're running a Spiral Abyss team, you can now use 2 of the same weapon. Now there is a downside to this. People who already have level 90 weapons, especially 5 stars, who haven't refined them yet, well, that kind of just defeats the purpose, and they basically upgraded it to level 90 for no reason. So because of that, they probably won't add this anytime soon, but if they ever do, it'll solve the problems of, well, if you want to use multiple of the same weapon, now you can without having to worry about refinements. For this one, I'm pretty sure a lot of you can relate to it. So you enter the Spiral Abyss, and you accidentally mess up your rotation. Then you have to retry. By the time you hit the start challenge button, you realize that your cooldown is still eternal, and you basically just have to restart again and wait for your cooldown. So if Hoyoverse adds a cooldown instant reset as long as you restart your challenge, that would be great. I don't see why they won't do it because it's really not that hard to implement. Now for this one, this is personally one that I would like to see added into the game. Some people might disagree with me, but basically it's triple elemental resonance. And basically my idea for this is, if you have triple, it just boosts the previous one by 50%. So for example, double pyro increases attack by 25%, so 50% of that would be 12.5%, so increases attack by 37.5%. So yeah, if they added this for each double resonance for each element, it would be pretty cool. I think it would make especially mono Geo a little bit better, because for the most part you're gonna be running triple Geo anyway, and Geo could use a buff, so I think adding this to the game would be pretty cool. Also, protective canopy is pretty bad. 15% elemental resistance, 15% physical resistance. Who cares? Now this one's pretty simple, but I don't think they're ever going to do it, but if they ever do, the game will be a lot better. So it's basically increasing the Resonant Cap to 200. This is very beneficial for multiple reasons. 1, it would make it so you would only have to log on the game once a day to get your actual 200 resin, because if you log on once a day, you're only going to be at 160. The second is, it would help people who don't play the game every single day. If you don't play every single day, you're going to miss resin, obviously. But if you come back to 200 resin instead of 160, that's an extra 40 resin that you could be using on other stuff. And it would also fit the condensed resin limit. 200 resin a day, 5 condensed resin, so it would be perfectly fine there. Also, if you're not happy with the 160 resin limit, just keep in mind that all the way back in 1.0, it was 120. So yeah, Hoyoverse was a little bit generous, increasing it to 160. But yeah, overall, I think increasing the resin cap to 200 would make the game a lot better instead of worse, because it basically means that if you're not that committed to the game, you will still be rewarded, and if you're committed to the game, you'll still be rewarded, so I don't see any harm in increasing the resin cap to 200. Now this one has to do with gameplay. So basically in Genshin, when you glide, all you do is slowly fall, and you also use up a little bit of stamina. and only a few characters can interact with their abilities while they're gliding. Two that come to mind are Kazuha and Xiao. Everyone else basically does the same thing, so it would be pretty cool if they added something like you can dash while you're in the air, or I don't know, just increase your speed or something. As it stands, gliding is kind of just a mechanic for slowly falling so you don't take fall damage. Not really that exciting, so maybe they'll add something to it someday, but this is something that I've personally wanted in the game for quite some time. So sometimes when you're playing the game with a shield character, you don't know how much shield you have left after taking damage while protected. So something like a small shield indicator by your HP bar would be really helpful. It would just make the game a little bit more intuitive if you play shield characters. I'm sure some of you are in this situation where you don't have Festering Desire, you don't have Cinnabar Spindle or a previous event weapon, and there's currently no way to get it. So if Hoyoverse would add a way where you can receive old weapons, that would be great. Even though I have all the weapons, I still feel bad for people who couldn't play back then, and I also don't have Windbloom Ode, even though I remember doing the events. I guess I just never bought it. So it'd be great if Hoyoverse would add a way to get the weapon somehow, maybe with Mora or a quest or something. But as it stands, yeah, it's currently impossible to get previous event weapons because that's just the way they want it. So for this last one, it's pretty simple, but they should add an FPS cap above 60 for PC. Now I know that on Apple devices, there's a FPS cap for 120. That's because I believe Apple enforced that or something, but on PC, it's still locked at 60. I personally don't mind 60 FPS, but I would like to be able to match it to 144, which is my monitor's refresh rate, so if they ever add it, that would be very nice. Now I know I only said 10, but here's one more. So they should add this character into the game. For some reason, my account glitched out, and I think it gave me a leaked character, or something like that, or an NPC, I'm not sure. So if they ever add this character to the game, it would be pretty cool. So this character looks pretty cool, and I think she's a Pyro Bow user, so we'll have another Yoimiya Ember situation, which is, I guess, fine for the game. A third Pyro Bow wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So yeah, these are 10 things that I think Hoyoverse should add to the game. Obviously, I don't think they're going to add all 10 of them, but if they ever do, well, they have my respect. At least I got one of them.